Hi, I'm Jess Hayden, and good afternoon to everyone, and welcome back if you're returning, or welcome to this session if you're just starting off. I'm from the Susquehanna Folk Music Society. I'd like to welcome you to today's Artist to Artist on women's music entitled Women's Music Saved My Life. This event is funded through a CARES Act grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. Additionally, we're thankful for funding from the Pennsylvania Council of the Arts and the Cultural Alliance of York County. Find out more about this and other Susquehanna Folk Music Society events at susquehannafolk.org. During today's residency, we ask that you keep your microphone on mute and put any questions that you might have in the chat. Now on to folklorist Amy Skillman, who will introduce session 4, Rounding Out the Sound, How Craft Creates Mood.
Thank you, Jess, and welcome back, everybody. Boy, what a full day we've had. This has been great. And I love being reminded of the funding for this. I think it's really great that we actually have funding to support these kinds of conversations and to support this kind of documentation that we're able to do of music in central Pennsylvania. So, and beyond, but we're focused in really bringing music into this region and also recognizing the music that we do have right here. So this is the fourth session. As Jess said, it's called Rounding Out the Sound, or creating mood in the music. And this is really kind of the technique session. This is the session we talked. We've laid the groundwork for kind of defining women's music. We've talked about the infrastructure that supports women's music or doesn't support women's music, and how women musicians have been able to navigate within that infrastructure. And then the last session, we really talked about songwriting and lyrics and creating or getting your message across and the challenges of that, and singing difficult songs and talking about topics that are important to women but don't always find footing in popular culture. So this is the session to really focus on the techniques. How do these women musicians actually create the mood of a song? And it's an opportunity to really show off, I think, the incredible mastery and skill that these women have with their instrumentation and their voices and their lyrics. So our host for this session is Bobbi Carmitchell, who she is like totally surprised that that's true.
Oh, I knew it's coming.
Yeah, no. So it's really an opportunity for, I think, us to be a fly on the wall while we watch Bobbi and Jamie and Barb talk about how they do what they do, and things like open tunings and getting rhythm in your music. So with that, I will turn it over to, just remind you that closed captioning is available at the bottom of your screen. Jess already mentioned putting questions in the chat, and any lyrics. I don't know that you guys are going to be singing full songs this time, but a reminder that lyrics can be found on the Susquehanna Folk Music website. So Bobbi, take it away.
Well, greetings, earth beings. I wanted to, there's the great thing about guitar is that, when we were talking a little bit about my beginnings with wind and wood, and when guitar players all sit together around a circle or a campfire or in a living room or somewhere, and I think for the most part, we learn by watching everybody else play. I think that's the one great thing about guitars that I love. One of my favorite Gary Larson cartoons is a picture of a bunch of cowboys sitting around the campfire, and as opposed to the stereotypical harmonica that's sitting in the back pocket of a cowboy, there's a grand piano that's sticking out the back of his pants, and they're sitting there, and the one cowboy looks at the guy with the grand piano character. He goes, "Are you gonna sit there? Are you gonna all night? Are you gonna pull that thing out and play us a number?" It's like, who has a grand piano in their pocket? And maybe that's why we all decide that guitars are so fun to be able to take with us, because they're a little bit more mobile. Thanks to Amy Skillman, I have a fabulous Martin backpacker that we have taken with us on sailing trips many times. So it's a lot smaller, has the full size neck. So that's always fun to have. I know Jamie was talking during one of our chats yesterday about having to schlep around her ukulele all the time. And I'm like, yeah, even a ukulele, you feel like you're having to schlep it sometimes. So there's always, there's always the fun part about having a guitar that you can travel with and be able to sit around with a lot of people and learn how to play by watching other people play. Most of us, I don't think, Jamie, are you classically trained?
Are you kidding?
I don't know. I mean, did you like I didn't take lessons. Did you take lessons?
No, I'm self-taught, but
Yeah, likewise. And
when
how
I
about
started when I
Okay.
started teaching 20 years ago, I taught myself to read music because I wanted to teach that to my students.
Sure. And then Barb, how about you? You played by ear.
I took guitar lessons when I was very, very young for a little while, but everything else I just play by ear.
Yeah. I think there's something about like the students that I've taught over the years, for the most part, they want to be able, guitar is one of those instruments that you traditionally want to be able to accompany yourself while you're singing, whether it's in your backyard, in your, or on a stage. And I think that's helped, it's helped me be able to figure out how to teach people how to play. Whenever I have a new student, I try to see where they are. We we sit down, we see what their level is. And I think that's one thing that I want to ask you guys about in this crafting of a song. It also has to do with how do you get from one chord to the next? Do we all have these, these our favorite licks that we go to from one chord to another, that make the song a little bit more interesting based on whether it's a kind of a bluesy song, whether it's a folky song, whether it's a more of a rock song. When do you use a bar chord? When do you not use a bar chord? And I think that's part of the discussion I want to have with you women, to see what tips you might feel like you want to be able to pass on to other songwriters that are there, or just players in general, to be able to give people a chance to see how it is that the song is, once you have it in your head and you have the chord structure and the lyrics, then you get to build it and kind of make it something that's, and it's you're always tweaking it. I think it's always interesting to be able to hear an old recording of us, when we played 5 years ago versus now we're playing that same song 5 years later, and how's that evolved? It rarely stays the same.
Mhm.
So I wanted to see if Barb, since you're sitting there looking like you got a guitar ready to use it, if you want to try to give some ideas of motion from chord to chord, walk ups, walk downs. Oh no, what's this new little thing? This is a cutie. What is this one?
This is a 1870s parlor guitar.
Look at the size of that. That's a beauty.
And yeah, it's cute.
And you have it set to a standard tuning so people at home get a chance to listen?
Yes,
And
this is totally standard tuning. And I find when I play, I don't play a lot in standard tuning anymore. When I do, it's either in the key of G or D, because that's where my vocal range is. I don't like to play in E or A, either of those. If I do, I throw a capo on. But I find that I often take the chord that I'm playing, and I have to say, I don't know language to talk about music like you guys do.
Oh no,
'Cause
I don't either.
I don't know the language most people use because I play by myself and have most always. So I'm just going to use my language. But like if I play a G chord here, I'll often take it up to here. And it has dissonance to it, but I tend to like dissonance, I guess, because a lot of my songs and the tunings I use have a bit of that. Doesn't quite sound in tune, but it is in tune. Same with the C chord. I'll take that up. Instead of playing a D, I'll take it up here. It just makes it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But I also choose guitars a lot of times based on the song. So this particular guitar, I have a song I wrote about winter in Michigan. This is kind of a quiet little ditty, and it's like perfect. And I often think about this guitar and wonder, what songs did it sing in the 1800s or the early 1900s? You know,
Right.
who played it? What was it? Riding on a horse, singing poke, 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 poking along. You know, some cowboy song.
Right.
Chickadee sitting in the old oak tree. Mary, Mary, king of the bushes, he. Cardinals dancing in the light. Red is the color of her delight. There's snowflakes all around. Guitar's already out of tune. Piling up upon the ground. There's moonlight everywhere. And I don't have a care except being with you. So little ditty songs like that I like to play on this one because it's kind of quiet.
Yeah. So when you're playing, can we talk a little bit about your use? Keep your guitar up there. For a lot of guitar players, hopefully we've got some guitar players listening. We've got, when I teach guitar the same way. I think we're all at some point guitar players, or people are like, hey, what's that chord? There's so many different ways to play a G chord. If we just look at that right now from a standpoint of how we write a song. So why don't you give me a couple ideas of how you're playing a G chord there and how that applies to that song?
So in this song, I play a G chord with my fingers pressed on the B string and the E string, the higher two, or the ones toward the bottom of the guitars, Jamie would say. No, it's at the top of the guitar, Jamie.
Closest to her face, right? Close to Jamie's face.
Is it close to your face or away from your face?
Right. Yes, away from your face. So I play a G chord, pressing on those two strings, but because I finger pick this, I just don't use the top two strings for a while, and then can make a C, but I still have that drone. That's what I'm going for, is that drone sound that kind of carries it through.
Yeah.
You could you could also play open G like that, or open G like that, or open G and make it sound more interesting like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting now that we've heard how you start that song out. Do the beginning of that again. And now play it with your ring finger off.
This one? Oh.
Yeah. Totally different.
That's on. And that's off.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the other thing, and I don't know if you guys, I think when we start doing open tuning songs, that where to pick which particular way we want to play those notes, because obviously, you guys, there's 12 notes in the world, right? 12 notes in our world of music that we are using, and do we, as a guitar player, we have the option, as opposed to a piano player, to be, well, I guess the piano players do have suspended or sustained by leaving the sustain pedal down. But for an open tuning, the open string just resonates, just you hit it, like in the case of what Barb was doing. Like she had two closed strings, right?
Yeah, these two are the droney kind of,
Right.
even though
Those are
they're,
the drone, and they have the same feel of the sound because they're both closed strings. You're both pushing the string down. So when you picked up your ring finger on that and played it just with that, it sounds more like a banjo. Not that that's a wrong sound, but that I like that closed in sound. I'm not sure if
it's more like a ukulele, I think.
Yes.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it
So it
gives
seems like choosing to sound like a banjo would change the mood of the song.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
you're
don't,
saying, yeah.
I don't see it much as a banjo tune.
Right. And then
Right.
what's nice about having a G like that is it gives you a chance to build that song. You're not starting right on the G and playing. I call that type of chord that with the I call that the Indigo Girl G, because they play a lot of that. Right. I mean, they use that. That's such a familiar sound with your ring finger on that B string 3rd fret. It gives it that movement. Jamie's laughing. Is that sound
Well,
familiar?
it's because when I am explaining things like that to my students, I call it the Indigo Girl G. But
There
the
you go.
funny thing about it is that most of my students are straight. A lot of them are men, and they have no idea who the Indigo Girls are.
Until you get them to listen to that song. And it's probably funny. I don't even know if that is how that song is played. I don't know if they play it in a G with that, but it's very, very familiar. That's and I mean, I think Emily Saylor's music, when I listen to her writing, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to sell all my guitars because there's no way that we're not in the same category. If she's a songwriter, then I just
She's a freaking genius. And I sat in the 2nd row at an Indigo Girls concert, and that is what she plays. She plays the G with the added D. She puts the capo on the 2nd fret, in case anybody needs to know that. And it was great because I turned to the person next to me. I said, good, I've been teaching this correctly.
There you go.
It's always nice to know.
Always nice to know, right? Barb, while you have your guitar there, I also see that you're playing your D chord with another way that we like to do it. Everybody see where her thumb is. She's got her thumb wrapped up around. Where is that, Caver? One of that.
Second fret on the E string, which would be what, F sharp?
F sharp. Woo! So it kind of adds another little bottom to it,
Yeah, otherwise it sounds like this. It resolves that.
Yeah. And it's also a
Or
good way
mute
to work your way up. Yeah.
Yep, or just mute it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Barb. Jamie, grab your guitar.
Oh, okay. What do you want me to do?
Teach us something we don't know about you.
Oh, you know everything about me, Bobby. Well,
Like-
we were going to talk about open tunings. Is this a place to start talking?
We're working on that. If that's a good time to be able to do open tuning. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I would because, you were just talking about adding that extra thumb to the D chord. And a way to get a more full D chord, let me scoot back and make this a bigger picture, is, now I'm cutting off half my face. Oh, technology. Okay. Yeah.
There it is. That's
Perfect.
it.
Perfect.
Is to tune down this string closest to your face, the low E, and tune it down to a D. So, if you're a beginner guitar player and you're like, how the heck did you do that? Well, I'm using the 4th string from the bottom as my octave, and I can hear octaves. If that's too complicated for you, use a tuner, and a tuner will still get you down to that drop D. And now look what happens when you play a D. Play all the strings. Woo! That just makes me press my thighs together. That's just cool, right? But that also means that you have to alter your other chords, right? So if you did an E minor this way, you'd get kind of a muddy sounding, well, what the heck is that? But if you press down that 2nd fret on the top, voila, you're back to an E minor. And then there's a few other things you have to change. This is one of my favorite ways to play a G. I'll scoot a little closer in case I've got guitar players who want to see what I'm doing. But I've got my index finger on the bottom string here on the 3rd fret, and then I've got these two up here at the 5th and 6th string on the 5th fret, and that gives you a G. And you know, I like what Barb was saying about just making stuff up. You know, like if you play this up the neck, it's kind of a, but not really. But who cares? It sounds cool. And that's actually the beginning of one of my songs. I like how the steering wheel is full under my hand. I like how the heading, what are the words? I don't know. I like how your voice is low and breathless in my ear. I like that it's cold outside, but warm in here. Surrounded by this highway, we're at the speed of light. Baby, let's drive all night. So that's my song, Drive All Night. And you can see how I'm using that shape to play up the neck. And, you know, I think if I wasn't doing that, that would be kind of a boring song. You know, it's just D, A, and G. But, you know, playing those forms, it just makes it sound extra cool.
Do me a favor, Jamie, and
Sure.
tune your E back up to an E.
Okay.
And give us an example of what it sounds like without that drum beat.
Oh, you're asking. That's hard. I don't know. I like how the steering wheel is firm under my hand. That's hard. I like how the headlights cut across the shadowland. I like. Yeah, you're making me think way too hard. But
Okay, never
it is
mind.
a different feel. You know, there's something about that low drone D.
Yes.
It's really, you know,
Yeah.
brings it home. And I use the metaphor of driving. It's really a love song, but that just sounds more like driving to me.
Sure. I think the idea of the, you know, Joni Mitchell, quintessential open tuning, like the goddess of open tunings.
Oh, yeah.
You know, polio as a kid, so her hands were very, very weak. So she couldn't use her hands in the traditional way that we would use to play. So she tunes everything down and makes it so that she's just barring everything. Like, and I think Barb might have do you have an open tuning song then, Barb? You can show people what I mean by just barring all the way across. But I think that's what, you know, that's the one thing that go ahead, Jamie.
I was just going to say that's how Dolly Parton usually plays. You know, Dolly Parton has those glamour length nails, and what she does, she tunes her guitar to an open tuning, and then she just bars up.
Right. And I think these open tunings, you know, who knows where the origin, if we're hanging around with the folklorist like Amy Skillman, she's going to want to know the origin.
Looking it up now.
What?
I'm looking it up now.
I mean, it could be very easily, you know, back when it's definitely an Appalachian Mountain technique of having an open tuning part because, and I think that's what, you know, a lot of people, like when I start to tell some of my students, I think you're about ready to do an open tuning, and you can see the smoke coming out of their ears, because it is what I love about an open tuning, first of all, is it humbles you to think about how little you really do know about your instrument, because, and it makes you just kind of go, okay, I'm going to, and it's, so think from a piano player standpoint, you guys know where a piano is, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? It's right there. That pattern repeats 8 different times, right?
Right.
So take that piano and have the piano tuner come in and change the order of the strings. And now that muscle memory of you playing a C chord with here, here, and here, whatever, is totally gone. And so it's a way, and I don't know if you guys ever play around with just intentionally tuning in a weird way that you've never played before, to be able to get a different song out of it and go, yeah, you know, maybe like Rosemary Clooney calls, Irving Berlin had these songs she called trunk songs. They were his trunk songs, and we all have them as songwriters. little snippets of paper, pieces of paper with lyrics that you just throw in a box, and he pulled out a song that said free from his trunk, and it ended up being snow, 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 snow. So it's like we all have these little snippets, and sometimes we're stuck we can't figure out how to go forward with the lyric. But if you tune the guitar in a different way, you might find it in a different way. And Barb looks like she's chomping at the bit to play something.
Well, I was going to say, my journey with open tuning, I was bored with standard, and I discovered Michael Hedges' music back in the late 80s, I guess I was.
Love him. Love him.
Yeah. So I made it my mission to learn his music. And because I played by ear, I had to just listen and try to figure out the tuning. I didn't look it up and see how he did it. So I would try to figure out what notes matched and what would be doable to play, and then figured out the song. But I look at it as kind of like going to a new forest and hiking on a new trail that I don't know where I'm going. I don't even know the forest yet, and it's just experimenting and learning where the notes are and where there's chords, and remembering your trail. And eventually you could sort of hear where the three chords are that you'd probably use, and come up with a song, or play it to a song imprint it in your brain to remember it. But it's an adventure to me of discovery.
Yeah. And are you in what tuning are you in now? We are going to look at doing the bar chord.
This is D, A, D, G, A, C sharp.
C sharp.
Mary Chapin Carpenter used that tuning for the Moon and St. Christopher.
She
Did you
did.
know that? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is just part of a song, the only song I play in this tuning, but I do use a bar chord. Let's see. So it's kind of jazzy.
That's cool.
That's way cool. And is that a song, one of your original songs, right? It's instrumental.
It's one I wanted to use to show. It's very difficult to play, and like I said, I haven't played in 2 years, so I'm going to give it my best shot.
You're doing good, Barb. You're hanging in.
But it incorporates a lot of different techniques in it. So it's got strumming in it. It's got two-handed technique in it, where you're doing this kind of thing. It's got hammer-ons and pull-offs. It's got strumming when you're pulling off the strings if you're playing something to give another percussive level to it. And it's also got a little slap bass, which I'm having trouble doing because of my thumb problem. But and then rhythmic strumming. So it's got all different kinds of things in it. And it's a song called The River. And it was inspired, I'm a canoeist and a kayaker, so it's inspired by the river. But it's also inspired by the classical piece, The Moldau by Smetana, which is one of my absolute favorite pieces of music. And it's taking a journey down a river, so you come across all different parts of the river. You've got rapids, you've got the stiller waters, and so this is sort of like that. I'm not going to play the whole thing through, I'll just play, it'll be a shortened version so you can see the different techniques. So there's a pull-off there. And using the guitar for percussion. lots of different kind of
Wow.
techniques, you know, woven in and out.
right.
So Bobby, there is a question in the chat. I think it's from Marie. Bobby, did you do some of that with Bellingham Warning?
The hammering, you mean?
Anything, any of that kind of interesting round, filling technique?
Oh, hi, Marie Grube. I did not. Believe it or not, that's an interesting song. I was just thinking about playing that. I think I'm going to do that tuning at the round robin. Bellingham Warning was a song that it's another one of those, how do we write a song? I was in Bellingham, Washington doing the Pacific Northwest Festival at Tam Martin's there in Bellingham, and I was staying at my friend Marie and Pam's house, and I walked down to the bay in Bellingham, and this chord was right on the water. It was just right there. And I went back up to their house, tuned the guitar down so I could figure out what it was and how to play it. So that is, that's a really, it's a very easy song to play technically because it's a great tuning. It takes a while to get it, but the tuning's worth it for me. So it's all D's and A's. That's all it is. So, but yeah, I'll be happy to play that at the round robin, and then you guys can get a sense of what that sounds like. So yeah, I didn't do hardly any. I did a couple of hammers, but nothing like that Barb's doing. So thanks for the question. Jamie, do you want to, Barb, we're going to switch over to Jamie here for a second, and then we'll get back and do the one that we were talking about. So Jamie, you have a song you'd like to share with us that's an open tuning song?
Yeah. I mentioned double drop D, so that's where I'm going here. When we met earlier this week, we were talking about using different guitars for different tunings. And I think Bobby was using, well, how many guitars do you use? And I'm like, one. I just don't want to carry a lot of guitars around. So I just retune the one I've got. Which
sounds great. What kind of guitar is it, Jamie?
It's a Larrivee that I got used, and the label inside doesn't say the model number or anything. I know almost nothing else about it.
It's purty and it plays well. All you need to know.
Yeah, it does.
Kind of cool pickup on that. What is that in your sound hole there?
It's an LR Bags, and it's got a mic and a pickup, which is really nice. I can balance the sound depending.
Oh, that's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't love this thing, but when I was talking with the luthier, that's the only way that they can do that kind of setup. But this was a song that I wrote because there's a particular topic that's really near and dear to my heart, and I thought I would write a song about it, and I thought it needed a serious presentation. As you've heard earlier, if you went to the earlier workshops, I do a lot of funny songs, and I didn't think this one would work well in that kind of context. And so I put it in double drop D, just fooling around one day, and I played this chord form, and I thought, well, maybe that'll be the beginning of a song. So here it is. How you doing, she says, with a quick embrace. I step back and look into an almost familiar face. Laughing, she says, I've lost almost 50 pounds. I can wear most any clothes, I'm not so big around. Her smile is hopeful, but I can't think of more than I thought she was beautiful. then slowly frowned. I was scared there were complications, but I'm 5 dress sizes down. Gone are her lovely curves and the shine in her eyes. She wants me to be happy, but I just wanna cry, 'cause I thought she was beautiful before. You might think I'm bitter, but I'm healthy, I feel great. I wish the same for her. It's not about the weight. Oh, my dear friend, I hope she's really fine. I told her that she's beautiful at any size. What she did was dangerous. Was it worth a try? The truth is I love her. I'm just glad that she's alive, 'cause I think she is beautiful. She is so beautiful, and we all are beautiful in my eyes.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Crowd goes wild.
Thanks. Yeah, and I just want to say, where that song came from is that I was staying with a friend on tour, and then the next night I was staying with another friend in another city, and I was saying that my friend had recently had stomach surgery, and I said, I don't know why she did that. I thought she was beautiful before. And my friend in the second city said, well, you should write that down. That could be a song. And I wrote it down. And it ended up being a song, and actually not my friend's particular story, but the story of a lot of women. And I think out of all the songs I do, this is the one that I hear the most about. And it's not unusual to see somebody in the audience sobbing while I'm singing it, because body image is something that's so close to women. It's something that we that's how we value ourselves, and some of us have been told a lot that we're the wrong shape, the wrong size, the wrong whatever.
Right. And doing that song in a standard tuning for you would not, I'm not going to make you do it.
Thank you. I was going to say, please don't.
I mean, so I think where you are is here.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, it's an E minor, D, and a C. But this is play your third chord that you do.
Well, it's A minor. I don't even know what that is. I just lift up my finger. Could be like an E minor with a D bass. I guess you could say that.
Yeah, but
the other chords I'm playing are open chords. So what I did was, he's like, well, for a bar chord, I would do it this way. But what would happen if I lifted up this finger and only pressed down the bass note? And that's how I got these sort of open sounding strings. And actually, I got that idea from my friend Kara Barnard, who is an amazing musician in Nashville, Indiana. And she said, what would happen if you played it this way? And I went,
yeah.
Wow, yeah, okay. I mean,
Right.
this might be a good place too to talk about the importance of feedback. I mean, I stop strangers in the street when they hear my new song, because you know, when people hear it, they give you the most amazing feedback. And sometimes they don't even have to be a musician. You know, they could just say
Sure.
that first chord was great, the topic touched me, the whatever it is.
And did you write that in open tuning or did you write that in standard?
Oh no, I wrote it in open tuning. All my open tuning songs start with open tuning because that's partly what inspires the song.
Right, that's it. And then I think that's the other for guitar players at home who are listening. It's like, and don't think that like do what Jamie's doing, that drop D, the single drop D. You know that's a double drop D, I think, right? Both your
Yeah,
E's.
what I'm using right now, but what I demonstrated earlier was a single drop D, and that's the easiest place to start if you want to.
Yeah, it just opens up the world. And you know, I tell a lot of my guitar students who are like, they get it and they're afraid to try it. I'm like, turn off the lights. Sit in your room by yourself and play with your lights off. And you know, take your guitar, tune it to something that you're unfamiliar with, and just get to know. It's like you just bought a brand new instrument without having to pay any money because you just retuned it, and nothing that you knew applies. You know,
Yeah,
and it's like it all has to do. Good.
I was going to say, one of the things I talk about with my students all the time, it's not just the mechanics of the muscle memory of what your hands are doing, but it's what you're hearing. Mm-hmm. So you need to have those two things put together.
Yeah, and good segue, Barb. Let's hear that. Let's hear the difference. We can do a comparative if you guys are good with doing this.
Yes.
Do this comparative of a song that Barb has on her record, which, by the way, is this one.
There it is.
La la li la la. And Barb, may I say, beautiful photo on the back there.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's a nice one. All right.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention that is really important with open tuning is when you're out of tune, it's, I think, way more noticeable than when you're in standard tuning.
That's right.
Because there's already no wiggle room between the notes. They're
Right,
already almost dissonant and just one string ever so slightly off. And it's like,
And plus, may I say, and may I point out to the people listening, you are doing an open tuning on a 12 string.
yeah. This is the same tuning I think Jamie uses. I call it dadgad, but I guess dadgad's probably the same as double D.
No, double drop
Right?
no, you keep the second string in a B.
A B, that's right, that's
Yeah,
right. So this is dadgad.
Yeah.
D-A-D-G-A-D.
So do it slow for. Can you do it slower for people like me? D, where are you? Great, thanks.
Ever so slight. You want to do your version first?
No, I want people to hear what it's supposed to sound like, and that.
Yeah, this is my interpretation, and I thought we'd do a song that probably most people are familiar with, since a lot of this music you may not be familiar with. And when I see the sign that points one way, the ones we used to pass by every day, just walk away, Renee. You won't see me follow you back home. The empty sidewalks on my block are not the same. No, not to me. And then you can throw okay. And when I see now I can't remember the words. Look one way. Ones we used to pass by every day. That's the dadgad tuning.
That's
So
the dadgad. That's a great.
So we do
spell.
have a question, if I can jump in. This is from Deb. For the non-12 string players like me, are there 12 different notes, or is each string tuned in unison with the one next to it in standard tuning, or in your case, dadgad? And can an open-tuned 12-string guitar actually have 12 different notes?
Ooh, great question.
So the first question, the notes for the top 4 pairs of strings are an octave apart. And they're the same as the partner. And then the ones away from your face.
Away from Jamie's face.
Yeah, the last 2 strings are tuned the same. Like that. And so when you do the open tuning, you make sure that they're all tuned to the same, the pair is tuned to the same note that it's supposed to be, D-A-D, G-A-D. Can they all be tuned in different? I don't think it would work very well because of I'm struggling with language here. So let me tune one different for you. That's a good dissonant one. Doesn't sound very good.
Stephen King called. He needs a soundtrack for the next book.
Yeah.
Because to answer that, your finger on a 12 string is pushing down both strings at the same time, unless you put it in an interval, which I don't know if you can actually make that interval far enough. And that would make my head blow off its hinges right there.
No. And with the musical scale, I think there's a step thing involved, right? That they're not going to harmonize with each other very
Hi,
well.
who are you?
I like that, a step thing.
Hi, somebody just popped in I haven't seen.
Yeah, it's a step note.
Who's the person underneath? Hi.
Do you mean me?
Yes.
No.
I do.
Oh,
Yeah, just mute yourself are you asking a question?
I just wanted to ask a question. I'm not a musician, but that just reminded me that the round, I don't know if it's called the round. I don't even know the correct term, but it just sounded so much like Norwegian wood to me.
Oh, yeah.
And she was, no.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, I love that. Thanks.
I don't know how to play it in this tuning. But
That's beautiful.
Norwegian woods in an open.
Thank you.
Something like that.
Yeah. Very good. And so Barb, you put a new twist on a song. You put your version of that bling blam blam bling blam blam ba ba da ba da ba. And you, so what Barb and I figured out is that I'm gonna play that same thing in the standard tuning, but you're gonna see that so that sound that Barb made, that little bling dong ding dong, right? If I'm in standard tuning, my finger, I can play that note, but that's all I can play. I can't play, because if I'm sliding up, I have to keep my finger down here for the bottom. So this is why open tunings give you, so we couldn't play that version of bling la down 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 in a standard tuning because the strings, you can't get to it. So I'm just gonna play it the way this in a standard tuning, so you know that you've heard Barb's version, and so you're. It's a standard tuning, and it's very boring. Just walk away, Renee. You won't could ever get playing this way. Otherwise, it would sound like a first grade kid trying to play it. So that's what we wanted to kind of give you as a little example of what the difference between an open tuning song and her interpretation of playing that song.
The other thing I wanted to throw in there too is I've had people tell me that they thought it was two guitars. And
Sure.
And a lot of times with open tuning, depending how you play it, it does sound like there's two guitars playing because you have that drone nature to it, and that you can play a lot more notes, like you were just saying. You can't do it on a standard tuning.
I'm gonna give you guys a quick. We have about 4 minutes to go yet. Do we have any more questions, Amy?
Nope, nothing in the chat.
Okay.
I think we got them.
Okay, I'm going to give you an example of as Barb calls it, my epic song, and I think epic just because it's 9 minutes long. It's like the Inagata Davida of I don't know, but this is a song that I talk about open tunings and when things kind of come in your head. This is a song called "Smokin' Dottie" that I had a dream based on. This whole song came out of a dream, and maybe I'll play it during the. Maybe this will be my one song to play during the round robin. But I woke up with hearing this lick, and that's the other thing. It's like we were talking about that lick that Barb did of bling bling ba ding dum. This lick that I'm hearing in my head when I woke up and heard this dream, I could not play. Barb, did you get a chance to putz around with that on trying to do it in standard?
I knew there was something I was forgetting. I could do it though. You just play it and I can do it.
Okay.
I'll just play along with
Mute yourself though, Barb.
This tuning is an insane tuning, but I'd never heard this tuning before, and I needed to play this lick, so I tuned it to this particular. And this guitar, by the way, is one of my pride and joys that was given to me by my cousin's wife's mother. It's an old 1940 something Gibson. My Aunt Ruth used to play this when I was a kid. When she passed away, they gave me her guitar, so it's very cool. So the tuning for this, everybody, we're going to start near Jamie's face. And it's going to be, it's a B, A, B, F sharp, B, and E. So I went to sleep that night listening to Star Trek because I know that must be in it. Dun, 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 dun. So anyways, this is one of those songs that you talk about a drone. This is just alternating bass line. And I'll just do the lick for you. This is a lick I couldn't play on a standard. Alternate. That's it. So when you hear this, it's really hard to think about playing it in a standard tuning without that machine that Tam Hessen calls the machine of the song is right there. This just goes through the whole song. So it's very repetitive, but that's a song called "Smokin' Dottie," and I think maybe I'll play that one later. But Barb, did you get a chance to listen to?
Yep, I got it.
Oh, here she goes. So listen to what this is going to sound like. totally different. You know, it's like this song is about a dream meeting this old blues player in a smoky blues bar in the middle of a snowstorm. And I slide into the bar and she gets me up on stage, her nose smoking Dottie. She sticks a cigarette in her string. She drinks out of a mason jar. That is not a song to sound like Kumbaya. That is a song to sound like Smoking Dottie. So thanks for putting that in there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a fabulous demonstration of creating mood, I think, Bobby, because your version of it just sounds smoky and bluesy and minor key.
Yeah.
It was really, really great. So,
And it's like listening to Jamie's song. It's like would be totally, I mean, I think all three songs would be totally different if they were played on standard tunings.
yeah.
This
This was really fabulous. And I'm sorry to be the one that has to cut everybody off, but we are out of time. This was great. And I just want to say, talk about girls with guitars. Yeah, you guys are girls with guitars, like big time. You guys own these guitars, and I love that you have multiple guitars in order to have different tunings and all of that. So, I thank you. This was great. So, we have coming up next. We have about a 13-minute break now. And then it's from 3:30 to 4:30, we will finish out as they do at women's music festivals with a round robin of the women just trading songs with each other, playing songs that they're inspired to play with each other and showing off their talents. So that will be at 3:30. So remember to go back to your ticket confirmation email to get the link for that. And we will see you back here in 12 minutes. Thanks, Bobby, so much. That was great.
Oh, you bet.
And Barb and Jamie, good job moderating, Bobby.
Thanks, Amy.